Hello. Welcome to the Make It While You Fake It podcast. A podcast about running a custom furniture and woodworking business while also trying to start a community makerspace outside of Philly. All without having any formal education in woodworking or in business. I'm Dan Skirma from Woe Shop Woodworking and Monco Makers, and I'm glad that you're here with us. Now we're recording.
There it is.
You're so far away. See, I told you. Yeah, what I say, give me a test of what you're going to do. And he like goes right into the mic. And then when we start recording, he's a foot and a half away.
Oh, yeah.
It's just hard to... Oh, there it is. I'm just looking for the red lights.
There it is.
Yeah, so you're...
Dial it in.
There it is. Perfect.
Beautiful.
I'd say what's on your bench, but your bench is on your... literally on your bench.
It's a bench on a bench, dude.
Why don't you explain to the loyal listeners, what the hell is that monstrosity of a construction on your bench, on your temporary bench?
So, I think monstrosity is a bit aggressive.
It's larger. It's for larger people. I'll say that.
I mean, it's a bench built for myself. I mean, it's a proper woodworking bench. It's not. It's just a combination of a couple different styles of benches. Just kind of takes the best of all of the benches that I've seen over the years. It's got multiple different hold down methods. It has a fairly beefy leg vise.
Your leg vise is larger than my legs, plural, total.
Well,
it's enormous.
The bench did not skip leg day.
It did not. And you don't have a top on there yet, and it's roughly 500 pounds so far?
Oh, that was a rough guesstimate. That's probably over, realistically, but it's definitely over 3.
To put it into a little bit more perspective, the legs are what, 3 by 6?
They
4 by
are
6?
4 by 6.
My lord,
sapele.
Yeah, and yeah. By the way, this entire bench is made out of sapele, outside of the top, which is a massive beach butcher block.
Yeah, I may have over-ordered a little bit of sapele for a dining room set that I did recently, and it was just taking up a lot of room in the shop. So I figured if I'm going to keep it in the shop, I should make it useful. But yeah, no, it's maybe we'll post pictures of it somewhere to the story of one of our socials. Yeah. It'll be up there. You got to hunt for it, but if you find it, it'll be cool.
I'll figure out how to do show notes as people do.
Show notes.
Yeah, I don't do that, but apparently we can. I don't know.
I'll take your word for it.
Sure.
The other cool thing is, so 3/4 of the bench is completely enclosed right now with different rails and styles and such. But one side of the bench is completely open because we're going to be putting a 4-foot Husky toolbox in there. So it'll have completely enclosed ball bearing drawers. It even has a little power strip to it. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, you needed to add more weight to it. So that's, I guess, the weight of doing it.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. I mean, every now and then gravity spontaneously turns off and workbenches float away. You can't make them too light.
So this is a dumb question. Is this your first actual woodworking bench you've made? Like a legit woodworker's bench, not just melamine on some 4x4s?
This is the first like full woodworking bench that I've ever made.
Like, yes. You've done vices, you've done all that, but you made all the metal parts of the vise itself, which is the coolest part.
Yeah, I really just couldn't bring myself to pay the astronomical prices.
$600+ whatever the hell they are now.
Yeah, there's a lot of really nice tool making companies out there that make very, very nice hardware. And I am not a trust fund baby or a dentist, so I couldn't bring myself to pay those prices.
You need to get sponsored, dude.
Yeah, totally. Hey, if any of those really nice tool making companies out there, Lee Valley, Veritas.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is the second time Lee Valley. The second time Lee Valley's come up.
If any of them want to sponsor us, that would be fantastic. But until that happens, I have a lot of metal scrap and the knowledge and ability to do relatively decent machining within the confines of a wood shop. So I'm just going to make the stuff myself because that's just insane money.
I'm looking at it now. Yes, it is nice.
Oh,
of course it's nice.
Yeah. What's the price?
It's $400.
And which one is this? This is the Lee Valley?
The bench crafted.
The bench crafted?
Yeah. The bench crafted classic leg vise.
Yep.
You have 4 different styles or whatever. The cheapest one is $360 plus shipping. And it's heavy.
No, this is all shop made hardware with the exception of an Amazon bought lead screw.
Nice.
So I'm going to say so far, specifically for this bench, I have bought I bought the top. The top was a butcher block countertop from Floor & Decor. Also, possibly sponsor us. That'd be cool.
That's fine.
Yeah. Hey, man, if Floor & Decor wants to be our first corporate sponsor, more than welcome.
Fine by me.
But yeah, so far, the only things that have been purchased specifically for this bench are the butcher block top from Floor & Decor, a lead screw from Amazon, and once again, name dropping Lee Valley. They offered a really cool, like a modernized version of a screw hold down that I'm using for my the bench face has a set of dog holes parallel to the leg vise.
Yep.
And I have it mocked up right now with a pine board in it, and it works really well. Oh, you want to know just a little happy accident that happened that I realized when I was doing the final assembly before I glued it up?
What's that?
The bottom holes on the dog hole board
and line up.
They line up perfectly with the lead screw.
Look at you.
Look at you. Actually, just a moment of the universe smiling. I put the board in and I looked at it, and
I'm looking at it now. It's dead nuts. That's awesome.
I did not consider that at all.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have even thought of that, honestly.
Like that.
That actually makes sense with the tail vise that I put over there.
Yep.
They have those little pins just so that it doesn't hit the screws, but it's really nice to have them level.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, actually, that would be a really big pain in the ass if they weren't.
Yeah.
Now, looking at it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that I mean, like we said in some of our previous episodes, I don't always plan ahead when I'm building things.
No.
I tend to just kind of bucket will do it live sort of design work. And that's just kind of how my brain thrives. But sometimes the universe just smiles on you.
Yeah.
And things work out for the best. I mean, realistically, this was... there's a couple things on this bench that, looking at it now assembled, I think I might have assembled it backwards, but it'll work.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, a leg vise is a leg vise. I'm not really that critical
just
which
say
side it's on.
Just say you're a lefty and whatever.
Well, maybe dexterous. Go both ways.
Of course, well, that's a different podcast about your personal life. Anyway. So I was happy to see that you made your own hardware. That's cool because wood guys can do metal.
Metal as fuck. Brutal.
Did metal this weekend, which was fun.
Ooh, tell me about it. How was the Blackthorne Retreat Maker Camp?
That wasn't where I was.
Is that not what it's called?
No. It's at the Blackthorne Resort.
Okay. The Hammering?
No, close.
Fuck me. What is
close? It's just Group Forge.
Group Forge.
Yes.
Okay,
so the Hammering's in a month, but so Group Forge is they cap it at 25 tickets.
Okay.
And you go and
hold on. There were definitely more than 25 people.
I said
In the
tickets.
pictures.
Tickets.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So because they're a close group of people just come to say hi and hang out. So they're not really part of doing the forging. They're literally just hanging out.
Nice. All about the community.
Exactly. So there were probably 40 people there total that are coming and going. But Chris Cash down from Maryland has an idea of what we're going to make, and he really roughly sketches it ahead of time and like gives you like a little teaser. He's in like what was his thing? I always forget the name. Mount Phillip Metalworks down in Maryland.
Really cool dude, by the way. I met him
Awesome.
last year at the last year's Group Forge event that I went to. Last year they built a bench that was definitely more suited for somebody my size.
Yes, my feet did not touch
bench.
the ground. Yeah,
but it was really cool. It was really fun to be a part of that.
So this was the third year of the Group Forge, and the first year they made a fire pit so everything that they make stays at the Blackthorne as part of just that, essentially like an ongoing art exhibit there. So their fire pit was the first one. It was a round fire pit that was probably 8 foot in diameter and had
huge,
a lot of like ornate decorative spikes and things coming off of it in every way, where you can only put the wood really on in one spot. Awesome. And then last year's, they made a bench to go with it so that the bench, so people would sit up, but the bench was enormous. It was, I think the back of it was probably 5.5 feet, 6 feet tall. It was 6 feet wide. The bench itself was 2 feet wide.
Yes.
It was absolutely huge. It was fun because you can just swing your little legs there, because my legs didn't touch the ground, which was really fun.
Adorable. Really
fun for me. And then this year was the third piece and the final piece for the fire pit. So we made a firewood holder, and pretty much just like a half moon, just giant firewood rack that was, again, 2 feet deep. So you just throw whole rounds and logs in the fire pit. It's not like firewood you buy for your house. So that's the last thing. Next year's is a fully different, away from the fire pit theme, and it's going to be fully sculptural, artistic, doing something apparently to go in the lake, some sort of like giant octopus or squid eating a boat, something of that nature. So that's going to be cool as hell.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's going to be cool as hell, something like that. But obviously, he also says that people are coming that don't even know they're coming yet, so that could very well change. So who knows?
Absolutely.
But it's a really cool event, and we're back.
Hey, we're back.
You don't know what happened, but we just talked for another 10 minutes, and my mic decided to cut out on the USB, and we lost about 10, 15 minutes. So we're back now.
But it was like a really juicy 20 minutes.
It was super juicy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got really high up there on my high horse.
Talking about the bench.
The bench.
Well, the bench was fun. It was fun. It was a great project. You just didn't like the seat. That's all it is. You didn't like the seater.
It was...
I think you used the word pedestrian.
It was an absolutely... it was a really cool experience. It was an entire weekend of effort put forth by 20 or 30 people.
Yep.
It was a cool as hell bench. But then, like, again, dude, like at the last, like 15 minutes to midnight, we absolutely phoned it in with a chunk of cedar for the seat. And the bench deserved more.
Now, I'm trying to think, like, how... Even putting like metal strapping around it, something like that could have been kind of cool. Like inlaying metal strapping, like you would like an axe head.
Rob Rojas. That's the name I was trying to remember.
What do you think his name was? For the guy from Jersey? He's not from Jersey.
He's not from Jersey?
No, Rob's not from Jersey.
You kidding me?
No, Rob literally grew up in Suffern, like 2 towns over from me. He's from New York.
I could have sworn he was in New Jersey, dude.
No.
That's wild.
No, Rob Rojas is he's in New York, and now he's literally Jimmy's neighbor with a fixer-upper he bought. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean,
That's cool.
you're next door to, forget Jimmy, you're next door to good coffee at the Milk Run. I'll say coffee.
Coffee.
Just, it's not good coffee. It's coffee.
It's coffee.
It's fine.
Sure.
If
you're into coffee. It's
but
coffee.
no. He's from New York.
Yeah, wow. Did not know that. Could have sworn he was from New Jersey.
But no, I mean, every time that I come home from these things, I either come home with a tool. So thanks, Keith, for the metal lathe. Very, very cool. And then I immediately get on Facebook Market and all these other places, and my searches change. And then I'm pushed a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't know I wanted. And now I want it. For a while after the last group forge, I got the basic setup for blacksmithing stuff because I really wanted to try some more stuff. I still want to do stuff in my office. I want to make basic things: shelf brackets,
coat hooks,
drawer pulls, the basics, just whatever, the basics, and
fun stuff.
So I had plans of. I talked to that shed company. They were going to bring a shed out.
Yeah, well, what's going on with that?
I just don't want to spend that much money.
Sure.
But it just leads me down this road of makerspace having more than wood, because it's not really a makerspace at all if it's just woodworking. That's just a woodworking shop.
Sure.
So I would love...
Ooh, title alert.
No, that's okay.
Title of the episode.
What's that?
Dan wants more than wood.
Dan wants more than wood.
There it is.
Nice.
Love it.
All right, I can do that. Oh yeah, we need that little. I'll put a little sound thing like ding for the
ding dong
for the title. I would love to have metalworking, but that in itself is a broad spectrum.
Oh, it presents a ton of hurdles.
It does. It does. So we use the induction forge a bunch this weekend.
Ooh, how is that? That is one of the coolest things.
It is
in my head.
It is cool stuff. It is magic because water is flowing through copper, and somehow through magnets and magic, it heats something up in seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Cool as hell. I don't get it. Someone tried to explain it to me. Still don't get it.
Sure.
I'm not going to get it. I don't need to get it because I'm not going to just go build one. I'm just going to buy one.
There you go.
But that was cool as hell. It was one that was, for the size of it, I mean, the case of it was the size of this workbench,
sure.
this Husky toolbox.
Yeah.
And the induction coil part, you could fit maybe the size of a quarter in. Like, it was really, really small. It was really just for like round stock
stuff.
But I guess knife making for the tip that goes into the handle or something, like small. Like, it was really, really small.
Yeah, but can't you put like different size coils on?
I would imagine you can. They didn't have them on this, but the thing is that you can't touch the sides. It's like operation.
Sure.
Because then it shorts it, and then it sparks, and then you freak out, and then you have to pull it out. And then the first time you do it, it's just like a little bit of a surprise.
Sure.
But that was cool as hell. So like something like that, it's not an open flame.
Mm-hmm.
You can go touch it with your hands, and you're not going to get burnt.
Yeah.
I would imagine that is a way of getting around some things, or at least making some of it a little bit more accessible in a small class setting. You're making a knife and a fork, like whatever. You're making drawer pulls. You're making something like that. That's a real small scale. Because honestly, for someone who has literally never picked up a hammer and never seen an anvil to come in and try to make something, you're going to make a really small something.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what it is. So something like that would be perfect. You don't need much at all.
Yeah. I mean, back when I was doing...
You just use I-beams. You don't even need anvils for stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, back when I was doing the historic reenactment blacksmithing stuff.
Yep.
One of the first things they would have kids do when kids would come out for like the demos and stuff.
Yeah.
We would literally just have them making nails.
So I forget where I heard this.
But like it teaches you how to draw it down. It teaches you how to peen it over. And Yeah. So maybe it was you. Maybe it was you or a podcast. I forget who told me that, like, when you're an apprentice in a blacksmithing like path, that the first thing they do is have you make a nail,
You make another nail, and then you have to make 100 of them, and you make the exact same nail 100 times.
Yes.
Because that shows that you could just do the same operation over and over and still concentrate and have the same process and get some sort of like speed down.
Yep.
Which sounds really tedious and my nightmare.
Yes.
That sounds like an ADHD nightmare. Yeah. But for a small class setting, I think something like the way of an induction forge is the way to go to like at least get it possible because you can still do that inside. There's no fumes. Like a lot of that is much safer than obviously having a coal is out. Has to be outside, obviously. And that's not for a quick thing anyway.
No, yeah.
You're not going to have a coal forge. But like just metal working in general, you can go down the route of knife making. A whole set of tools needed for knife making.
Yeah.
At least everyone that I watch that is making knives have a certain set of things, and none of it is cheap.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. So having the big old sander, like the big old, like whatever it is, inch wide,
2x80 belt sander.
Yeah, like those things are. I think American Rotary is like a pretty common one that makes those.
Sure.
If I'm getting that name right. But those are super expensive. Really cool. Then the knife, the regular ovens that they're putting that stuff in, those probably aren't super expensive. Just the brick forges for knife making. The ones that we were using last year was just putting when we were doing the scrolls.
Oh yeah.
We were just sticking them in there.
Sure.
They're propane.
Yeah.
I don't know how that behaves inside if you're really allowed to do that.
It's fine.
But a lot of them run on kerosene, which I know is fine. So you could do those again. That's like just to heat it up, and then I guess you're forging and hitting the knife to get it into rough shape, using a metal bandsaw just to cut it out. If you're not going to blacksmith the whole thing, because that might just take forever in like a small class or whatever.
Sure.
Just drawing out all that shape and everything might be a pain in the ass. But then all the other stuff, heat treating it is not super hard. But
do it in your oven at home.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that could be one of those take home things, like the bowl. Like you're not putting finish on these things in the class. Like you have to do finish at home. Like that would be pretty much part of the finishing process. But even sanding, even the jigs that I see people make that are real slick to make them super smooth, to sharpen them, to all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Like there's a long process for making a knife. I feel like that's certainly not a 1-day class. That's probably, and it doesn't even have borders. That's not even an immersive class for 7 days. That's too long.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I guess you could fit it in 2 days, maybe 3 weekends.
I think so. One of the biggest things about fitting a class into a certain time frame is having the jigs, the fixtures, and the procedure like bulletproof before you even advertise the class.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like we would be running, I'd be running a lot of tests with those type of things.
Oh, sure.
Just a couple people who want to take some free classes and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean you can go over the principle of the jig and fixture. You can kind of explain how you made it, but you don't really ever want to be, if you have a class with a specific time frame, you never want to be making the jigs and fixtures mid-class.
No, absolutely. I'm trying to, like, for something like a knife making class. Yeah. It's like you can give them a blank.
Sure.
Like you can do like sell blanks like the rest of cells on the site. You can give them literally it's a blank and it's here, and the focus is hardening, sharpening, putting a handle on it, and doing like the woodworking aspect of like putting a handle on and how that works and whatever. That alone could be that's an entire day's worth of a class.
Sure.
Just taking it from that. I doubt you're giving people just 5-inch wide stock or 3-inch wide stock and we're like, all right, make this. No, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a butcher knife either. It could be a tiny little knife.
Absolutely.
It could be a tiny little pocket knife, which is fine.
I mean, you could, if you were to make it a 2-day weekend long class, Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday and then the following Saturday.
Yeah.
Which I found out through experience is actually the better way to do it.
And people don't want to give up their entire weekends. Yeah.
But you could do the smithing part where you actually like heat and beat the metal day one.
Yeah.
And then day two, maybe day one, you also drill the rivet holes.
Yeah, probably. And then sand whatever rough shape you've made if you like screwed up some of the hammering and whatever.
Then like day two, end of day one, you epoxy the wood to the knife handle. Yeah, like your scales and stuff.
Yep.
And then day two is just shaping. You shape your handle, you shape the blade, you sharpen the blade.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, technically you don't, actually hardening it.
Yeah.
Like with the oven temperatures with something like that, what was that company? Simple Heat or whatever the hell they're called.
Sure.
You pretty much put in what type of metal it is and they just do the schedule for you. They heat up to a certain level, then they let it cool naturally, and then they heat it up again, then you quench it. Like there's a whole, whatever that order of operations is.
Okay.
You can Even Heat is the name of the company.
Even Heat.
Sure. So they have an oven that you can it's pretty much like the, what's that brand of smoker?
The Easy Bake Oven.
That's the one. The Easy Bake Oven. It's essentially that. But like that's the thing. Like some of that stuff takes hours that you're not probably gonna do. Like you could probably do a whole sharpening and give them a finished knife, but not have it hardened.
Sure.
That could just be the class. Like it gives them the experience of it. Yeah. It's just not going to be a very usable knife for very long.
I mean, I guess in theory you could do, if you use like quick setting epoxy.
Yeah.
You could do all of the epoxy work, like actually fastening the scales to the blade day two, and do all of your heat treating at some point between day one and day two.
Oh, that's true. Actually, you know what? If that's part of the class and like that's something that we do.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's just a thing
that could be cool.
That's just part of what you pay for with the class.
See, that sounds realistic because again, the whole like you want someone to be able to maybe do some of this at home.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be heat treating a lot of this at home without having more stuff. You can do it in a real simple way by just literally putting it in the oven. It'll take forever.
Sure.
But you can still do it. But no, that's interesting. But like, so even just doing stuff beyond wood, knife making is a whole other category. A lot of different tools to do it. A lot of different jigs, all that kind of stuff. And then you get to that, but then you can go the blacksmithing route. I think is one of the harder ones, even though it is on the surface, probably one of the cheaper ones to get into. If you're talking like coal forge and anvils and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's not like you need to buy a ton of stuff to get started. But if you're going to do a class like this was, they had 6 anvils and a rack of hammers. They had four like propane forges going. They had a giant charcoal forge going outside. Like there was a lot of stuff going on. They had that. They had the induction forge. They had a giant, like horse trough thing full of water for quenching. Cool. So like they had a big setup for a class. Like obviously that's a much bigger class than I would want to have.
Sure.
But also that was still technically outside. It was under a tent, but
it was open air.
It was open air. Yeah. At least. Like stuff like that, and the charcoal has to be outside. I feel like if I end up. By the way, buying a place, I don't think it's gonna be in the cards. But we'll talk about that. But even if you're buying a place or you're renting a place, that has to have an outside space for that kind of stuff. Seems like it would be a hard sell for any landlord. Like, all right, we're just gonna have this big old fire burning outside. It'll be fine. Like, obviously, it's actually safe, but they're probably not gonna like it anyway for liability.
Sure.
I just think that's one of the harder ones. Then you get in like the middle tier between Like knife making is pretty specialized in the tools that you need.
Sure.
And then just welding stuff, like welding stuff gets really expensive if you're just going to have a welding class. I don't know what that class would be, honestly. Like what would be a welding intro to welding project? Or is it literally you just practicing doing welds itself? 2 pieces of metal, just try to get them together. Like you're not making a project really.
No, I mean, you can,
Like it's so open-ended. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you would have to have one specific type of welding.
Right.
And then from there, you kind of go from there.
Yeah.
One of the first things that they usually have you do when you're just starting out with welding, is something called a pad of beads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just a piece of sheet metal, and you just run beads on it.
Yeah. Well, right.
And that is the whole thing.
Yeah. Pretty much when everyone that I've seen online is like, I don't stick weld a lot, or I don't TIG weld a lot. I'm going to try it out. And it's just a sheet with just garbage on it.
Yep.
Just trying to just do this over and over and over until I actually get a rhythm.
Absolutely. And then you start off with a piece of like 1/4-inch plate steel, and by the time you're done, it's 1.5 inches thick.
Right.
I mean, you're just hard facing it essentially. Yeah,
exactly. That's what they had at Maker Camp. They had so it was cool the way that they correlated it. They had the avid guys that had a plasma cutter. So they had their plasma CNC, and their plasma CNC
cool
was cutting out blanks for like a, I don't know what the hell it was, that ball that was over there, like of like 6 plates or whatever, 6 faces.
A dodecahedron is the name of the shape.
Fucking nerd. Yeah, that. They gave you that.
Cool.
And they had just enough of a tab there that you could fold it. So you could fold it enough where you can kind of hold it in place, and then you would bring it over to the Lincoln tent, and you would learn how to just tack it, and then you would learn how to MIG weld the entire thing.
That's cool.
And that was the thing. So they had a bunch of scraps they had thrown around, like, do that thing.
Yeah.
Here's what MIG welding is. Try to run a bead. That one's too fast. That one's too slow. That one you didn't go in the circles right. Like whatever. Like you just did like the little tips. And they're like,
very cool.
You can take this and try to weld all the corners. And that was pretty much it. So I have that, and you can see my first one, trash, and the second one, trash. Third one, not as trash, but it got better.
Progress.
It got better, and it was comfortable after a couple of them. But yeah, I mean, those kind of classes would be, again, just having enough welding stuff for a class. It takes a bunch. It's not something that I could just do a one-off with. There's just too much equipment needed.
Oh, absolutely.
But like even something like welding can't be in the same area as a wood shop. It has to be a completely separate area.
Yeah.
Like it's completely separate, probably in many degrees, with venting and the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, you would need a firewall.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Probably about it. Sprinklers, but I mean, your whole facility has
it's going to have sprinklers anyway. And honestly, a lot of these places, they have some walls and they're all concrete and whatever. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know what that specific code actually is. Something that I would learn, obviously.
Great question for Bob.
When is Bob coming on the podcast? When we do this on like a Sunday morning?
Yeah, I was going to say, as soon as we stop recording at 10:30 at night.
It is late. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
But either way, like I want to introduce more things than wood eventually. It's just finding out what's the first thing is going to be interesting to find out. Honestly, at that point, if we're doing good enough and the whole thing is progressing, I would just probably ask members, like, have you ever been interested in doing metal stuff? Like, what would you be interested in?
Sure.
Start trying to ask the people that are coming there every day and then go from there. Today I sent out a whole bunch of whole bunch of stuff just locally with the local Facebook groups and people that I know, Instagram accounts, just trying to get research on what people are excited about with a makerspace, what would actually interest them in it. And it's just a few checkbox options, and mostly gathering data. A lot of it was what you would expect. Like, I'm interested in having a membership because I don't have a shop right now, or I'm interested in beginner group classes or whatever. And then there were some that were not some, a vast majority of them checked kids classes. I think that's going to be a huge thing.
I got a guy that teaches kids woodworking classes, and he's really good at it.
Yeah. Nice.
It is not me.
Oh, man. But it'd be fun because they would look like they're looking up to Andre the Giant when they walk in. Hey, mister.
I've taught a lot of kids classes. I've taught a lot of like one-on-one classes with kids. Don't get me wrong. I love kids, but
that is a pace.
Damn, dog.
That is a pace that's slow.
It's not even that. It's just... If I wanted to work with kids all day, I would have been a teacher. I got summers off.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy it.
I'm sure.
I do coach T-ball, and that is an experience.
It is.
We had our first game on Monday.
Ooh, how was that?
It was great. I was able to get a full 2 innings between the teams done, and the game was over in 40 minutes. Yo, move this along.
It's
really good.
Wait, hold on. Recap those numbers for me one more time. What?
So we break it down here.
Okay.
2 innings.
2 innings.
Home away.
Yes.
40 minutes. 10 minutes aside an inning.
Okay.
There are roughly 10 kids on the team. A minute a batter.
Okay.
Not bad.
Sure.
Like, really not bad.
Actually, yeah, now that you break that down, those are actually really good numbers for essentially just herding cats.
I had no voice at the end of it because I am screaming the whole time. Run it there. Throw it at first. Don't tackle him. Everyone stay on your feet. He's going to hit now. Look at the batter. It's just, who's up? Okay, here you go.
Look at the batter.
The things that you have to say. Like,
that's amazing.
Kids run off the field and they just start talking with their parents in the stands.
Sure.
It's like, yo, like, Timmy,
what are we doing here, bud?
Yo, hey, he's gonna hit the ball and hit you. Like, you got to get back on the field. Like, what are you doing?
That's fantastic. Actually, now that you break that down, a minute per at bat is flying.
Exactly. So compared to last year, coach was great, but he really tried to take his time and teach as much as possible during games.
God forbid.
So, like,
how dare he?
I just want them to have fun and get out.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was a lot of like repositioning them in the box every at bat and every swing.
Dog, what are you doing?
Like, every single time. Then his mistake was our first T-ball game. Like, so most of these kids' first time ever playing an organized sport ever, they decided to push it. They're like, hey, we have some time. Let's try a 3rd inning.
Oh
no! These are 4 and 5-year-olds. They had absolutely no desire whatsoever to be out on the field any longer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 4 and 5-year-olds. That is not the time to be teaching foot placement and hip movement.
No, not at all.
Read the room.
And on top of it, because they didn't have enough players to split to a boys T-ball and a girls T-ball. They had them all joined last year. So they didn't have enough for 2 leagues, but they had enough to have every team have way too many kids. So every team had like 14 kids. So every time you had an at bat, 14 kids had to get up. So for the pace that it was last year, you're like 2-3 minutes per kid. You're like, wow, that was like 25 minutes we were standing in the field. It was horrible.
Dang, man. And you got to keep kids' attention span for that?
Right. No. So they're all in the grass. They're throwing dirt at each other.
They're picking daisies out there.
Yeah, exactly. So it was wild. All that to say, I do enjoy teaching kids a lot.
Absolutely.
It's really fun when they get it and you see it light up and everything. Like, I love that whole thing. I think there'd be a huge crowd for all the Cub Scouts, all those types of people getting in with schools, doing extracurricular programs and all that kind of stuff. I think all that could be a huge thing. It's just I didn't want to open just a kids school, although I feel like even some of these programs that I'm looking at, this one in Colorado, they know that kids are off for summer. So they're home all day. They'll have 5 different sessions all day long, Monday through Friday during summers because the kids are home.
Absolutely.
So you can have classes of 8 kids 5 times a day. Like having 40 kids in there, each of them is roughly $35 a session.
Wait, hold on. So say that one more time.
So they have 8 kids per class.
Yes.
5 classes.
Sure.
So 40 kids.
Yep.
Each kid is $35 per session.
That sounds expensive.
It does. They generally will come only once a week.
Sure.
So when you do it like that, it's $140 a month. That is very middle of the road for kids' activities now.
Are you serious?
Most of them are $200 a month.
That's insane.
So that's why baseball and t-ball and all that is great because it's like $200 for the year. And that includes uniforms and everything else.
God, why do people even have kids?
Because we love to burn our money. We'd love to like just torch it and kiss it goodbye. Like swimming lessons, fine. It's $200 a month. You go once a week.
Damn.
Karate is $175 per kid a month, and I have 2 kids in it. And
so far,
and it's unlimited. You can go as many times as you want, but you can't go that often. We try to get them there twice a week. Sure. A lot of weeks it's once because of just all the other stuff they're doing. But so when you look at it, when you break it down, we're like, oh, it's 140, 150 a month for your kids to just be occupied for an hour and 15 minutes per week. People are willing to pay that, which is nutty.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a wild industry just on its own.
It is. It's huge. That's why the makerspaces that I've talked to, they're like, we are fully supported. We make our entire nut for the entire year, 3 months kids classes. Wow. Which is insane. It's insane. Like the numbers don't lie when they start breaking it down like that. You're like, what the hell is that? $1,200 a day for 40 kids. If you're doing 5 sessions during summers. So they do it during summer. They do these 5 sessions and they're sold out.
Sure.
So you're making $1,200 a day just in that. Whatever it is, times 5, $6,000 a week. $24,000 a month.
I'll be honest, it is 10:30 at night, and my brain is not mathing right now. But I will take your word for it on those numbers.
The unfortunate thing is that there will be a lot of kids classes. Cool, sure, but
sure,
obviously not what we want to be teaching all day. We want to be teaching adults that can do more than simple things, but we'll take it.
Money's money.
The thing is that is what the data is showing so far, is that people really want stuff for their kids to do. So
absolutely,
whatever, man. That sounds. We can come up with a lot of cool kid stuff. And there's just so many examples of kid stuff out there.
Absolutely, dude.
I think the one that they do in I think it's the Decatur Woodwork Makerspace. I think it's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Sure.
They have a whole program called Kids Carpentry, and it's all just literally basic carpentry skills, and kids absolutely love it.
That's great.
Cool. And it's anywhere from 6 to 14.
Okay.
So it's actually a pretty wide range of like ages. I think we talked about it the last time.
Yeah.
And you were saying 6. I was thinking 10 years up and older, but again, it's one of those things where if someone's willing to pay for their 6-year-old to come for that long and pay the money and to keep them entertained and occupied, and whether they're learning something or not, you can still have the class and try to make your best effort. Mm-hmm. Try to make it worth it for them and worthwhile for everybody. But in honesty, as a parent of 3 kids, I just want a couple hours of just sanity anyway.
Sure.
So if they're doing something great, at this point, I drop them off at karate and then I pick them up.
Yeah.
Ask them how to go. They said went great. I'm like, cool. That's about it.
There you go.
I don't need to be any more involved than that for certain activities. So,
I mean, that is
swimming I like to watch more.
Sure.
Because when I would then be in the pool with them in the summer, I wanted to know where they were at so I can actually see it. Karate, I don't.
Okay, that makes sense.
Karate, I don't give a shit.
Like, I mean, they could save your life one day. You never know.
You know, that's the thing. Have some thugs coming in here and have like a class of 8-year-olds kick their ass. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be amazing.
Newsworthy, even.
That would. I could definitely see that at the very least blowing up the Hapro Facebook page.
Imagine they break into like a wood shop. Why would they? They break into a wood shop and then a bunch of kids with chisels that know karate. Awesome.
Absolutely terrifying.
That's yeah. They have to use their powers for good because that's pretty scary.
But they're 8 years old. They don't know what good is.
They don't. They know what fun is.
Yeah.
Like beating the crap out of you.
Exactly. It's like giving a monkey a machine gun.
Even
dude.
after practice tonight, my middle son comes home and the 1.5-year-old goes over and just puts a chokehold on him while he's trying to take his cleats off. Thought it was hilarious. He's like, he just literally puts his arms around his neck and tries to tackle him. Like freaking brute.
Good Lord.
1.5. He knows that it's fun to just kick the crap out of someone already.
Love that.
Whatever. That's fine.
Oh, wait, hold on. The 1.5-year-old tried to choke out Quattro?
He did. He's like, Mom, get him off me.
Oh my God.
He just goes. He's just
That's amazing. That's hilarious.
Dude, he's a monster. And it's so surprising right now because he needs a haircut, so he's just a fluff ball. His head is so unassuming.
That's hilarious.
He's just fluffy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, more than metal. I want more than wood. I want some metal stuff.
More than wood.
Want more than wood
at the makerspace.
Yeah, we'll find out once we get it going. It's going to be which thing beyond wood will it be? It very well may not be metal to start off. It could be other things.
Better not be epoxy.
Dude, there's probably going to be epoxy somewhere.
I mean, okay, there's always going to be epoxy somewhere.
There's going to be epoxy somewhere.
But
see, that is, so for example, that is something that is a very easy one-off class to do.
Absolutely.
Because you don't need anything special.
Nope.
You literally just need a bucket or a cup and you mix it and you pour it. Like there's nothing like people do amazing things with epoxy. It's not my jam, but like you don't need anything special to run that class and people love it.
Absolutely.
So it's an easy class to do.
I mean,
but if you want to do like leather work or sewing or whatever, you need a lot of shit for all that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's so many specialized tools for that kind of crap.
Yeah.
So like it's going to be a lot of the explore with some of the one-off things that you can do and then see which one become more permanent offerings.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean this past weekend I went to the new version of MSW.
Oh yeah. H Valley Tools.
H Valley Tools, that's what it's called.
You're never going to remember it.
Look, like I said, man, names are hard. But I went there and they have multiple. They have a whole part of their store is dedicated to epoxy.
Yes.
Hobbyist stuff, and they have really cool. I guess they're like ready-made silicone molds.
Yes. Yeah. That's like pretty popular now.
Cutting boards and stuff.
Yep. They have them.
That's kind of cool.
They have the. Yeah. I mean, there are lots of companies out there that have those now. And I mean, I have one. I don't have the silicone one. I have like the hard plastic one. I actually don't like it at all.
Oof.
It's hard to break it free. It's just kind of annoying. You feel like you're literally going to crack the whole thing getting it out. But the rubber ones, you literally just peel away.
Okay.
They're just strong enough to hold the heat that it gives off where it doesn't melt.
Gotcha.
It's actually pretty cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, like classes like that, like the jigs are, you just buy them. You just buy these molds. Simple.
Absolutely.
But Yeah, no, we'll see what else. We'll see what else besides wood. You also need instructors to do those things, but that's where I think if you're going to have someone outside, an instructor, like if you had a Chris Cash come in to do a artistic blacksmith thing, if you were into blacksmithing, like you can't ask him like, hey, bring all your shit.
Ooh, a Chris Cash kids class.
Yo, Chris, I'll be in touch. It sounds like a great idea. Just sitting there, it'll be just like, just try to insult them every time they do something. That'd be hilarious, actually.
Speaking of people who are going to be showing up that don't even know it yet.
Yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. But anyway, we're starting to flesh out the website. You go to monco-makers.com. Right now, we're building everything out in the background, but right now you can see the coming soon page, and there's a form on there for entering basic email, phone, and what you'd be interested in getting on the wait list for. That really helps us out because that allows us to come up with some numbers and data to present as part of the business plan. Like, hey, look, we have 1,000 people waiting to sign up for kids classes. They know they're not getting that actual number when they make an investment, but it's something, and it at least shows the demand, and it's very localized. So if you're in the area, please go to monco-makers.com and fill that out. That'd be really helpful. And then you can reach us on Instagram and all the other platforms, and you can find this podcast pretty much anywhere. If you're listening to it, you already know that, but we're everywhere. We're even on Amazon Music now.
Didn't know that existed.
I didn't either until a couple of days ago.
That's cool.
Amazon Music, right, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. And
we're on YouTube?
We have a YouTube channel, yeah.
That's cool.
Audio only. No one listens to that. Who would? Whatever. You already have to pay for a premium YouTube account just to like not have it on the screen. So whatever. Yeah, gross. But, yeah. But support us if you can. It'd be great. And also we're on Patreon. Still looking for our first patron. We have free tier member patrons, but we're not offering that much yet. So we need to offer something.
Sure.
So we'll come up with something to offer paid tier patrons.
Absolutely.
I think maybe start off very light. Start off with like we'll do like a live Zoom call or something every month.
Ooh, I kind of like that. Something
just like they can ask like direct questions on what this is going to be about. Like, why am I donating to you? Like, what are you going to be doing?
Sure.
Have some say into stuff. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're on patreon.com/moncomakers. Yeah, any support is very much welcome, and we appreciate everyone that listens. And honestly, one of the best ways that you can do it is just tell people about the podcast. If you want to rate it, give us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on, and just send it to people. That is literally the best way of expanding this. So yeah, we appreciate everybody.
Fun fact, if you're a part of an annoying group chat, it's a really good idea to just send them a link to our podcast.
See how easy that is?
See?
So simple.
Just spam everybody.
Yeah.
They're already annoying you.
It is true. It is true. You've muted that conversation for days now, and you don't want to read the 185 messages that you need to do to catch up. Ugh. Just send them a link and ignore everything they've said.
Exactly.
It's perfect. No context needed. Hey, everyone, click this.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. They'll click it. I know they will.
Absolutely.
But
way to do it.
Awesome. Appreciate y'all. See you next time.
Later.